Is from the Minnesota Star Tribune, because on Tuesday night they announced they were cutting 65 jobs, a combination of layoffs and buyouts, kind of a restructuring as well. The paper's chief executive announced they might be moving to a sort of a nonprofit ownership model. Glenn Taylor owns the newspaper, but they're talking about restructuring it in a way. There's about 495 people on staff, 200 people that work in the newsroom for the Minnesota Star Tribune. 25 of those cuts expected to be made in the newsroom, but the union representing the staff vowing to fight these cuts. So joining us now is one of the recognizable names from the Minnesota Star Tribune, Rochelle Olson, reporter and columnist, and no relation as far as Rochelle and I know. We are not related. Appreciate you coming on to discuss this. You are one of the, is it kind of a co-representative of the union there?
Well, I'm a member of the guild, so yes.
Okay. Tell us first about, I know the paper in recent years has really been working to sort of reformulate and refocus, renaming to the Minnesota Star Tribune, trying to invest in outstate bureaus and more reporting there, and really focusing on digital and restructuring there. So how do these cuts that could affect the newspaper, partially in the newsroom, play along with the same sort of attempt to expand operations?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that's kind of what we're all hoping to see. We don't really know how this is going to work out. And I think the guild wasn't part of this restructuring. I mean, the idea behind the restructuring, according to our CEO, is to reposition us as a digital company. Print is eventually going to go away, although they tell us that's not imminent. There's no timeline for that. But increasingly, our revenue comes from digital subscriptions. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to orient more towards that than to print. But I mean, the guild's position is this isn't going to help us be better news gatherers when we're losing editors and news assistants, the people who help put things on the page, the people who help reporters get prepared to gather news and do all the gritty behind the scenes work. So, I mean, it really remains to be seen in this whole not-for-profit operation. That's something that we're just exploring at this point. We don't know if that's going to work out or not.
Explain, I know there was a staff meeting to talk about this. I don't know what you can and cannot share publicly about that, but how is that explained, that it would still be sort of a private ownership, but exploring moving to sort of a foundation for running the newspaper? I guess explain how this would be structured if it goes through? Oh.
Not heard any explanation. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think our leaders know. Like I said, this is something they're exploring at this point. I mean, right now, we were blindsided by this. We got an email at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday evening, after everybody's going home and getting ready to check out. Right now, the guild is very focused on making sure that our members who take buyouts, who are laid off, making sure the process is fair and that it follows the rules of our collective bargaining agreement. So, and people are coming in tomorrow and being told you've got, X amount of time to gather your things and you can't go to your desk. So right now, everybody's sort of in a caretaking mode of trying to make sure the process is fair, and that's the next step, is exploring this not-for-profit prospect. I don't know how that would work. I don't think they know. There have been examples where it's been used, Philadelphia, Salt Lake City, but we don't know.
Yeah, I did read that newsroom employees protected from cuts are reporters, photographers, and videographers. Is that accurate?
Allegedly, yes. But I mean, you say it's sort of a semantic situation, too, because these cuts, we're losing, I think it's like 390 years of experience. And, you take away a news assistant, you take away an editor, we are going to be impacted. It's creating more work for everybody who's left behind. But yes, there are not reporters are not being targeted in these layouts, and neither are videographers or photographers. And so technically they claim we're being protected, yes.
What are the, do you understand, are the positions that could be lost outside of the newsroom?
You know, I've been pretty focused on inside the newsroom, but
Understandable.
We've lost some communications people. We've lost some people. Someone who was sort of in charge of trying to help come up with new ideas for the digital. I mean, just sort of people who were experimenting and on the cutting edge of digital operations. It's a wide swath of people. It's so.
And then in terms of what the union can do here in your role as being part of the guild, what does this look like going forward with the guild negotiating with the ownership about what happens?
Well, it's to make sure that our colleagues, that the letter of our collective bargaining agreement is followed. And that thing, as you can imagine, is very complicated and complex and open to interpretation, I'm sure. But we have seniority, we have job classifications, and there are rules regarding how people can be laid off and who they can. They can't just pick and choose, although they do have some rights to skip over certain people, or they have some set-asides in that regard. It's just super complicated, and I think part of it is, so we have our professional staff helping people, but also we as guild members are losing colleagues that we've had for anywhere from a couple of years to 40 plus years. So a big part of our role right now is trying to support these people. And I think we're hoping to set up a GoFundMe campaign so people can tap it. This, like I said, came out of the blue, and we're all kind of walking around shell-shocked. So it's a hard time, no doubt about it.
What's interesting, Rochelle, too, is that, it feels like you're a bit at odds here. There's two sides of this, both interested in sort of the same outcome. You're concerned about keeping the newspaper healthy and vibrant, and the management in making these cuts is also saying these need to be done to keep the newspaper healthy and vibrant and have a future. And yet two different views of how that is achieved.
Totally different views. I mean, yes, absolutely. We are all interested. I mean, you know this. We're friends. We're journalists. I mean, we don't go into this for the glamour. We go into it because it's a calling, and we care deeply about this community. And so do the managers who run the company. But part of the problem here is how blindsided we were, and we weren't consulted on what might work best. We're the people on the ground doing the news gathering and editing, and so we're not at odds on our ultimate goal. We all want to be around for a long time, but it's how we get there, and sort of we want to be on board and brought on board.
All right. Rochelle, thanks for taking some time today. Appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll see you again soon, and we'll keep up to date with how this goes. All right. Rochelle Olson with the Minnesota Star Tribune, again, a longtime reporter, columnist now as well.